Hey guys, it's your favorite Dinobot here, and today we're going to talk about Ark Titans. There are some of the toughest, if not the toughest bosses in Ark's history. I mean, the Ice Titan, King Titan, Forest, and Desert Titan are actually some of the most, I would have to say, well-prepared bosses of all time here. You have to prep so much, go so high with the creatures here, that you have to make sure that you're ready for them. Otherwise, it's useless at that point, right? But today we're going to see if everyone's favorite comeback kaiju, Zilla Jr. himself to be specific, is able to take down all four of these titans. But we're not going to use the Alpha King Titan. No. We're going to save that for another video. So without further ado, let's talk about scaling, right? Now, obviously, this video is a bit longer than usual, but I want to make sure you guys understand every detail of these monsters, these beings, how powerful they are. But let's get the tier right out the way here. Zilla Jr., as I've shown and pretty much used him on a couple battles here on this channel before, is around the planetary margin. You see, the reason why I put Zilla at that level is because he scales above monsters that are able to dish out multi-continental levels of damage and even exceed fusion core missiles. You see, Zilla was able to fight and eventually overpower a monster named Medusa. Medusa is a monster confirmed to be able to pretty much metabolize all of the Earth's water, basically absorbing all of that into her, and was just going to be like all powerful because of it. So again, her body's able to contain that much, pretty much that much water. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, right? And Zilla was casually able to fight against this monster and eventually beat her, to the point where the military, having specialized fusion core missiles, couldn't do nothing against her. Now, Zilla being in that margin, and again, he was meant to fight aliens who were stronger than that, meaning that he would have gotten stronger as the series progressed here. And again, Zilla was, he had his regular thing here. The show was basically Scooby-Doo with monsters, except Scooby was a giant nuclear fire-breathing mutated iguana. You guys get the point, right? But Zilla Jr. comes with a plethora of his own abilities. For starters, he has a healing factor. Now, it's actually faster when it's in water, but on land, it's actually decent. He can heal from, pierced wounds. His hide is actually impenetrable to even mutated monsters that need things like acid or durability bypass abilities to actually harm him. He's even able to tank island-busting explosions like they're nothing. Keep in mind, this is an unstable island, and he was at the center of the island exploding. And he comes out the water like, So anyway, yeah, we about to just go home here. So yeah, Zilla himself is just an absolute powerhouse. He's been able to resist the trash monster, which is meant to eat waste. I even think that would include things like nuclear waste and stuff like that. So in all honesty, him being able to withstand that, being able to withstand things like the Crackler. Now, the Crackler, you can actually get a lot higher scaling with that because, again, it's an imagination. It's like I guess you could say like you could honestly say it's like a concept of an imagination and stuff, but we really won't get into that scaling here. So it is what it is here. But again, he was able to take attacks from the Crackler and take all the electrocution from it. And the Crackler had enough power to kind of like even juice up, or I think even black out the city here. He's even been able to take attacks from the Tachyons, who were aliens capable of one-shotting monsters that would again scale to the multi-continental to island feats, okay? And again, Zilla exceeds that, and Cyberzilla was known as the mightiest among them. And again, Zilla went on to beat him, all right? Zilla also has mental resistance, being able to actually resist the Tachyons' mind control, even stating that they would require more power, actually having to boost it from their home planet to basically control Zilla, meaning they needed to amplify their telepathic powers, which control basic monsters. And Zilla was just like, nah, fam, you're going to try a little bit harder than that. So they had to put in more effort into controlling one monster rather than the others. And again, it took a lot. Like, Zilla was also off guarded at that time as well. So, Yeah, his resistance is crazy. He's also immune to infections. As a monster that was able to infect him, it got him. It got him good. But again, Zilla has antibodies that will actually actively go around and destroy the viruses in his body, meaning that eventually he would have healed, but it would have took too long, which is why Heat basically had to give him I guess you say an immune system boost. And then it just kind of, upgraded the immune system. The immune system kind of did its work. It killed off the virus. He healed his wound, and he went right back to work. All right, that's pretty much just Zilla for you. Now, let's talk about his other abilities. Matter of fact, let's talk about his speed before we get into that. Zilla Jr. would be in the faster in light margin, relativistic to faster than light. Now, the reason why I say this is because Zilla 1 scales to the hummingbirds and was actually able to tag the hummingbirds as well. Keep in mind, the hummingbirds actually bend light waves in order to not only turn invisible, but to move as well. Meaning Zilla was not only able to see them, but was able to interact and react to them with both his atomic breath and his physical attacks. Meaning Zilla would be around the faster than light to, well, obviously, margin. I mean, that's kind of simple and straightforward. He also scaled to aliens like the flying Gigan, who was also able to fly through space. Also scaling to the tachyon ships, which were flying through space pretty easily. And again, this will put them in the light speed margin and stuff like that. And I think that's pretty simple for Zilla here. Now, let's go over the Titans. Now, honestly, the Titans themselves, you could actually just scale them off of King Titan because they're able to damage, they're able to harm him. But again, King Titan is still the, upper echelon of the Titans, with Alpha King Titan obviously being the strongest of the strongest. Now, again, through fighting simulators done by other Ark players or other Ark mod players, where they're able to put creatures and bosses in these simple arenas and they're able to fight, King Titan is definitely the strongest, able to solo a large majority of Rockwell just by simply walking, apparently. So yeah, the King Titan is absolutely overpowered here. And again, the Titans themselves are able to defeat a large portion of the strongest creatures in Ark. This even includes modded creatures as well, such as the Hatipopteryx, the Acrocanthosaurus, and stuff like that. And again, the only creature above them is the Savage Acro, so it's absolutely ridiculous here. Keep in mind, I think Rockwell has I've seen some scaling for him where he's around the country to continental level, or maybe multi-continental. But the Titans do have their own feats, such as being able to not only stop the Earth's rotation, but actually they actually defeated a large majority of Earth's forces and caused the Earth to be how it was there. And again, the King Titan is still the strongest of that group here. So each Titan should have continental levels of attack potency, with the King Titan possibly being multi-continental. And if you actually give it to other Ark bosses, being able to possibly do this themselves here, maybe with a little help, maybe with their army, but they still should be around the country levels of attack potency, maybe. And again, I think it's there. I think it is there. I've seen the scaling for it where, the King Titan is around the multi-continental to possibly, again, planetary, because again, he's able to change the atmosphere of the entire planet, and he's still the strongest of the Titans there. The King Titan and the other Titans are also capable of summoning beasts here. The Desert Titan, I think, is the only one who can't summon other beasts, with the Forest Titan being able to summon wyverns to actually come and attack. There's also the Ice Titan, who's able to summon dire wolves, dire bears, and unfortunately, Daedon. So, yeah. You better rush that boy with some gigas. And keep in mind, they're also able to defeat a large portion of the strongest creatures in Ark. Now, the Dreadnoughtus, I am not sure. The Dreadnoughtus is stated to be actually able to go toe-to-toe with the Titans, meaning that this creature may actually be I guess you could say, a Titan killer. I actually just did a video on that not too long ago. Go and check that out here. But I think the Titans actually scaling to each other is pretty legit here. With the Forest Titan, he has obviously chlorokinesis, being able to actually use vines to come out and attack people, elongating his arms and stuff to attack and stuff. He can stomp, he can kick, he can pretty much just do whatever. The Ice Titan himself, I think, is pretty simple. He has ice breath, capable of freezing his opponents. And again, his his ice breath would actually exceed the Managamars, which again could freeze, beings like, the T-Rexes, the rock golems, even the lava golems, and so on and so forth. You can even, again, he can freeze gigas. He can even freeze an army of titanosaurs. And in all honesty, a large majority of his attacks, even his physical attacks, can not only damage, but also cause a freeze at the same time. So again, the Ice Titan is absolutely no joke, just like the Forest Titan. Now, the Desert Titan is apparently the only one who cannot summon. However, the Desert Titan would be the fastest of the group. Keep in mind, most of the Ark creatures are around the hypersonic margin. I think that is the best way to possibly put them. You could possibly put them above the Astrocetus and Astrodelphis, who were actually capable of moving through space like it's nothing. So again, maybe light speed. Again, you could possibly say it there, because again, they're able to still react to those creatures if you put them on the map. And the sheer fact that the Desert Titan himself is able to not only negate a large majority of the hunter's tactics, even having electrical attacks as well, the Titans themselves are still some of the most formidable of Ark's creatures ever. Still the most formidable team of bosses ever. And again, you can also break their control to fight the Alpha King Titan, who I think should be planetary. So if we scale them off the Alpha King Titans, then they should easily be small planet to at least moon level at best. So again, depends on how you really want to scale it, but let's, for this video, we give them the moon level at the very least, right? So how does Zilla fare against each of these Titans? How does he fare against each of these Titans? And starting off with the Desert Titan, who's I think chronologically the first Titan everyone goes for, probably because he's the simplest and possibly the weakest of the group, despite him possibly being the fastest as well. He's not that hard to honestly beat. I mean, a whole group of RGs, Snow Owls, and I even think Managamars, maybe with some Velonasaur turrets and a couple Quetzals maybe. It gets the job done, I've seen people just hoard this man or hoard this Titan with just RGs and Snow Owls, and they just rip it to shreds. It's not even a challenge here. Even if we gave it the realistic standards here, Zilla would be able to legit outmaneuver and dodge all of its lightning attacks here. And even if the Desert Titan tries to swoop in and tries to attack Zilla, Zilla could just burrow beneath the ground and come up out of nowhere, pounce on the Desert Titan, slamming its weight. Keep in mind, Zilla weighs around 60,000 metric tons here. And in all honesty, once he pounces on him, that would be a wrap. Once Zilla really gets a hold of him, he might tear at either the control rods controlling him and free him, or just tear apart the Desert Titan. It'll probably be a quick one here. Now the Forest Titan is definitely going to be a difficult one. I mean, this guy has, wyverns surrounding him and stuff. I think you can actually use the wyverns against him, which is pretty interesting here. And I think Zilla does take this one as well. I think he would be able to burn the Forest Titan down, considering his breath is a lot more potent than the wyverns in this game here. And keep in mind as well that what am I trying to say here? That Zilla's atomic fire or atomic breath, right, actually has a leech effect, meaning the fire is going to stay on the surface that it burned until it decides to subside. Now, this even includes things like water, and with the King Titan's materials being made out, or pretty much his biology being made out of wood here, I do think he would be burned possibly pretty quickly because of the atomic fire here. Now again, the King Titan is still pretty durable. You can even get it to the... Sorry, not the King Titan. The Forest Titan is still pretty durable, as you can easily get his heat resistance to, the King Titan's fire breath and the meters and stuff. But let's say that doesn't work. Again, Zilla would still be able to outmaneuver, definitely outpace, because it's confirmed that he's one of the slower Titans of the group. And he would honestly just... Eventually, he would just get outspeed and just dealt with, in all honesty. Now, the Ice Titan is actually a pretty interesting matchup for Zilla here, because if you guys remember the Sub-Zero Manta episode, Zilla is actually able to produce his own warm front when clashing against the Sub-Zero Manta. And what I find interesting about this one here is that this could just end up the same way here, with them actually wanting to go creating a storm through the clash of the Ice Titan's Ice Breath and Zilla's Atomic Fire, you know? And the thing about this is, I think that would actually just, that also might protect Zilla as well, considering the fact that his nuclear heat also allows him to go through ice like it's nothing. He would actually be able to possibly just go through a large portion of the Ice Titan's attacks. The Ice Titan wouldn't be able to freeze him because his heat would be able to keep him, you know, from getting frozen. You know, his body temperature would pretty much prevent from getting frozen. And then again, it's also nuclear heat, which again, as you guys can see here, is able to create a supercell storm. Now, considering the Ice Titan is possibly more powerful than the Sub-Zero Manta here, and again, we also know Zilla is more powerful than the Sub-Zero Manta, the clash between those two may even produce a much bigger storm. Keep in mind that a supercell storm and being able to create your warm front is around the country levels of attack potency. I know a lot of people put that solar system, but I ain't really convinced with that. I'm really not. It's just, But again, I do think Zilla clears the Ice Titan. Now, let's go on to the real challenge, the King Titan himself. Now, the King Titan has a plethora of abilities. His Fire Breath, his Meteor Shower, his Corruption ability, alright? He was actually the one who started the corruption thing in general. Like using the elemental properties, or at least the elements, and just using it to corrupt not only just dinosaurs, but apparently humans as well. It's actually, it's pretty ridiculous in all honesty. But again, it is what it is here. So, could the King Titan, with this corruption and this Fire Breath, these powers and abilities, could he potentially take down someone like Zilla Jr.? And again, I would actually say that this would be very difficult. This is probably the hardest fight Zilla would have to go through. And again, the reason why is because the King Titan's versatility. He's able to create these energy-like shockwaves. He's able to summon meteors. He's able to use his Fire Breath. But again, I think this is where Zilla's intelligence will have to come into play here. Using his burrowing capabilities to get around the King Titan's meteors, being able to use his atomic fire, and possibly overpowering a large majority of the King Titan's attacks, possibly putting his speed and his weight behind that speed into the attack as well, being able to knock the King Titan off balance. I think it could actually go back and forth with these two for a good minute here. But I think Zilla might just, I think Zilla could definitely play it smart. Using his burrowing capabilities, he probably would take out one of the King Titan's legs, or at least put one of his legs underground, and then using his atomic fire, and then eventually using his claws and jaws and stuff, which are strong enough to rip apart things like titanium, which I think would be able to rip apart the mechs that are also able to harm the King Titan and stuff, and vice versa. I think that Zilla should be able to take out the King Titan with high to extreme difficulty. But hey, that's going to be all today, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. And I hope you guys paid attention to this video, because you may have gotten a hint to the next one. Peace.